Imagine landing a dream job with one of the biggest names in the music industry, only to discover a dark underworld hidden behind the glitz and glamour. That's exactly what happened to Phil Pines, Sean Diddy Combs, former personal assistant, who was once eager to break into the music business. For 2 years, Phil worked alongside a man he admired, but what he witnessed behind the scenes changed his life forever. Now, as Diddy stands trial for coercive and racketeering charges, Phil is bravely sharing his story. His accounts reveal a world of control, fear, and hidden. From prepping secret hotel rooms to deleting incriminating videos, Phil's role exposed him to a side of the industry few dare to speak about. Today, we'll uncover his shocking revelations and explore how his courage is giving a voice to countless others.
Like, my life changed a lot, and I've never really recovered from it.
Phil Pines was brimming with excitement when he was hired as Sean Diddy Combs' personal assistant. It was supposed to be his golden ticket into the heart of the music industry, working for one of the most powerful and influential moguls in the business. At first, everything seemed like a dream. Lavish parties, A-list celebrities, and the intoxicating energy of being at the center of it all. Phil was in awe of the world he had stepped into, believing he was finally on the fast track to a successful career.
It was a circus. He did whatever he wanted, and we were just at his disposal. Lights, alcohol, Molly. Those requests started to become more frequent.
But as the weeks passed, the cracks in the glamorous facade began to show. Phil's responsibilities shifted from exciting to disturbing. He was expected to be available 24/7, catering to Diddy's every need, no matter how unreasonable or questionable. What he thought was his big break slowly became a nightmare, as he was drawn deeper into a world of secrecy and manipulation, where loyalty was demanded and silence was expected. As Phil settled into his role, he realized his duties went far beyond managing Diddy's schedule and organizing events. He was thrust into the shadows of Diddy's infamous private gatherings, which he later described as Wild King Nights. Though Phil wasn't in the rooms where these secretive parties unfolded, he was responsible for preparing the scene. Candles, lights, incense, bottles of alcohol, and an assortment of items he preferred not to think about. These weren't just luxury amenities. They were symbols of the indulgence and excess that defined Diddy's private world. It didn't stop there. After the parties, Phil's job wasn't over. He was expected to clean the rooms meticulously, leaving no trace of what had happened. Baby oil on the floors, empty bottles, broken glasses, and other explicit items had to be disposed of swiftly and discreetly. The image of Diddy as a charismatic, successful mogul had to remain untarnished, and Phil was tasked with ensuring that image remained intact. It was during these times that Phil began to fully grasp the extent of Diddy's control over those around him, and how dangerous it could be to speak up. Phil's responsibilities didn't end with cleaning up the physical mess. As Diddy's trusted assistant, he was also handed the duty of digital housekeeping, deleting incriminating videos and photos from Diddy's iPhones and iPads. These weren't just casual party snapshots, they were proof of what went on during the so-called Wild King Nights. Deleting this content wasn't a choice for Phil, it was a requirement.
During those Wild King Nights,
Phil, I need some Cialis. Give me 20 Xanax, please. Hey, Phil, I need a plan B.
I remember hearing the words, "Prove your loyalty to me, King." He grabbed me by the shoulders.
The act of erasing digital evidence weighed heavily on him. At first, he thought he was simply doing his job, protecting his employer's reputation. But over time, the reality sank in. He was actively covering up activities that he now realized were far more sinister than he had imagined. This secret-keeping isolated Phil, as he knew the implications of revealing what he had seen and done. Speaking out would mean risking not only his job, but his future in the industry.
Lube everywhere, half open, some of it oozing off the sides. And you have to get all that stuff, clean it up. Luckily, I would wear even a mask and I would wear gloves because it was disgusting.
Phil recounts a moment that haunts him. A night when Diddy forced him into a deeply humiliating situation at one of the Wild King Nights. Diddy handed Phil a rubbed his shoulders, and pushed him toward a female guest. Frozen in fear and confusion, Phil realized he was being ordered to perform for Diddy's approval. It was a test of obedience, a twisted show of control. Phil tried to comply, but as soon as Diddy's gaze turned away, he made his escape. Running from the room, he felt powerless, knowing that saying no to Diddy could have ended his career or worse. This moment became the breaking point, the one he would never forget. While Phil endured his own share of disturbing encounters, he wasn't the only one to witness the dark side of Diddy. Others in Diddy's circle, including rising stars and hopeful musicians like Sarah Rivers, shared similar stories of intimidation and inappropriate behavior. Sarah recounted an unsettling incident during the filming of MTV's Making the Band when Diddy cornered her alone in a hallway, brushed his hand over her chest, and made her feel trapped and powerless. She felt she couldn't say no or report the behavior without risking her dreams and career. Over time, these moments of control and exploitation piled up. While Phil watched from behind the scenes, others like Sarah experienced similar pressures, and they too stayed silent, fearful of the consequences. For Phil, the turning point came during a particularly disturbing moment at one of Diddy's infamous Wild King nights. Diddy demanded that Phil prove his loyalty, leading to a situation so humiliating and degrading that Phil felt powerless and ashamed.
And then he rubbed his hand down my breast. He said, if you need anything at all, you let me know.
Realizing the toll it had taken on his mental health, Phil's guilt and fear eventually forced him to step away from his role. He knew his silence had contributed to maintaining Diddy's facade, and he began seeking ways to expose the truth. His decision to speak out, despite the risks, inspired others who had endured similar treatment to come forward. Phil's testimony has shaken the foundations of Sean Diddy Combs' carefully curated empire. His courage in sharing his story has given voice to many others who felt powerless. The evidence he provided, from disturbing details of the private events to his personal experiences of coercion and humiliation, paints a damning portrait of the hidden world behind Diddy's glamorous image. Now, as the trial unfolds, the stakes couldn't be higher. If convicted, Diddy faces charges that could result in a lifetime behind bars. The trial is not only about determining his guilt or innocence, but also about validating the voices of those who, for decades, felt silenced and dismissed.
That's just not my job. I'm not going to do it.
If I said that to Diddy, I wouldn't have worked there. They would find somebody else. He knows everybody. He knows what's going on behind the scenes. He knows every manager, every executive, every attorney, everybody who's important in the industry, he knows.
Phil Pines' decision to break his silence may very well tip the scales of justice, ensuring that no amount of wealth or power can shield someone from accountability. His story is a reminder that the truth eventually comes out, and when it does, it can change everything.